Chris, you'll tell us when we're ready to go? Okay. All right. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Let me just,
Okay,
okay.
we're gonna start back up. Um, So our apologies to those that were watching online. Evidently, our live stream crashed, so we are back up online. We will continue with the reading of what is left of the public comments.
Yep. Okay, the next one comes from Anthony Peterson. I write to you as a concerned citizen, a parent of 2 former D46 students and the husband of a D46 teacher. First and foremost, a huge thank you to the teachers who have dedicated their lives and countless hours, both during and outside of school time, to the education of our children. Their commitment is humbling and should be honored by all. Thanks to the board members and the administrators. These are challenging times and tough decisions need to and have been made. I am confident that you have the best interest of the staff and students at the forefront of your minds and hearts. Thank you to the support staff, custodians, and tech staff. Their contributions all too often go unnoticed, and they are an integral aspect of the success in D46. I understand that the district is moving to a hybrid learning model. I further understand that 7 options were presented and 1 was chosen, following much deliberation by a multidisciplinary panel. We can all agree that there is not a perfect solution, perfect option for everyone, or one that everyone will agree upon. My hope is that this option and process will be organic and subject to regular review by all parties with direct input from the teachers. As a scholar of war, I can tell you that no plan survives first contact with the enemy. I'm certain you have already experienced that this year. In my experience as a manager and administrator, it is clear that the best decisions are informed by the people who have direct firsthand experience with the process. Very rarely do the best ideas and processes start at the top. The teachers have faced unforeseen and seemingly insurmountable difficulties throughout the remote learning process, and they spend an inordinate amount of time attempting to resolve these problems during evening and weekend hours when they should be spending them with their families and/or just recovering from a challenging work week. I personally observed the teachers come up with a solid plan, as they were tasked to do, prior to the school year starting, only to have that plan changed at the last minute, leaving them to scramble and suffer within days of school entering session. I understand that this pandemic has forced change by all, but I hope that there are genuine efforts to avoid moving the goalposts on them with no time to adjust accordingly. I am concerned about the apparent limited support that they receive from the district as it relates to their curriculum. I understand that the district has offered very little support in the acquisition of digital curriculum. The teachers have had to develop their own, and in many cases, purchase their own digital curriculums. This is absolutely unacceptable and demands immediate attention and remedy. The teachers already spend way too much of their own money outfitting their classrooms. All of these difficulties have contributed to very low morale. The teachers are your greatest resource and asset. These times require creativity and innovation to meet our children's educational needs. These times also require creativity and innovation to ensure the well-being of our teachers. I hope that both the board and the administrators are taking a very deliberate approach to meeting the emotional needs of our teachers. Continued burnout will, no doubt, have a negative impact on their ability to teach and their personal lives. We cannot afford that. Do not lose sight of the human factor involved here. Take the time to personally speak with them. Visit the classrooms on a more frequent basis. Offer a helping hand. Get as strong an understanding as you can about the struggles they deal with on a daily basis. This will only better inform decisions impacting them, you, the children, and the district. The next one comes from Neil Darren. The full remote hybrid plan appears to be favoring those preferring a hybrid model, where remote learners may be forced to change teachers and classmates. How is that giving fair consideration to ensuring both remote and hybrid learning is kept in pace with each other? Every family's situation and preferences are different, and we should not be forcing families to a hybrid model to ensure their child gets the right education and attention from the teaching staff. Remote learners deserve the same staff and teacher attention as hybrid learners. How many students attended the Safe Center for Remote Learning? Did the number of attendees exceed the capacity ability to offer the Safe Center? And I can answer that it was 60, and no, it did not. Abby Petrzinski. If the hybrid plan is truly only a change in location from the current remote learning experience, I'm not sure the increase in risk is worth the minimal and abnormal in-person contact. However, I completely agree the thought and work put into addressing both the in-class and at-home students. A few thoughts. What would mitigate the risk of being in person in any form is an improvement in all ventilation systems in our schools, windows open as much as possible, and as much time as possible spent outside, not only for mask breaks, recess, or PE, but also for instructional time. Can Google Meet be brought outside for remote learners? Not only is the fresh air healthier during a pandemic for all involved, students and staff alike, but spending time outside helps improve mental health. We would do well to pay attention to how other countries value and spend time in the outdoors. People, including school children in more frigid climates than our own, spend large portions of their days outside year-round in all types of weather. Next comes from Liz Castro, who asks, will the registration fees be refunded or waived like other districts? The next one is from Suzanne Beal-Kroc. 1, is there a possibility to have a classroom dedicated to the all-remote students so that teachers don't have to teach to both in-class and remote students at the same time? My concern is specific to the second grade at Woodview, if that is relevant. 2, thank you for the very comprehensive hybrid plan and day in the life walkthrough. I would love to understand the updated all-remote plan given the literally mixed classes to ensure all remote students aren't left behind or deprioritized in the mixed environment. This comes from Catherine Shores. Thank you for putting together this hybrid learning plan. I believe this will be a very positive move for my children and others. I'm hopeful that there is a way to maximize true in-person learning for students when on site, rather than simply just using the remote Google Meet format on site. I understand that there are staffing issues when it comes to this, but I'm hopeful that there are creative solutions that can maximize the benefits of in-person learning for those students who have really struggled with remote learning. Neil Darren. The presented options appear to require a choice of hybrid or remote for the trimester. The hybrid option allows for change to remote plan, but you do not provide the same flexibility for the remote plan. Can you respond to why the school district is willing to provide the flexibility to one group? See the administration driving an agenda, not flexibility and choice. Next one comes from Carrie Cohen. I think it is important for families to know that only 3 options were given to the staff for their survey. Option 1, I expect to be on site. Option 2, I have a disability or mental concern according to the ADA and require a remote-only position. Option 3, I do not have a disability in accordance with the ADA, but I do not wish to return back on site and know that I am not guaranteed this or my current position or school placement. This survey was very difficult for staff to submit. Many felt forced to pick. I expect to be on site due to concerns of not guaranteeing their position or school placement. The survey result does not reflect the teacher's true opinions of going back to school on site. An additional question to consider, with the 80-20 staff survey results on coming back, how many staff members filled out the survey compared to the total number of staff? Thank you for your time. Emily Walter. If we choose remote, will our students still have direct contact with special teachers? How will teachers be able to communicate with remote students while also instructing on site? Yes, through Google Meets, but how will the kids be able to be paid attention to and ask questions, since their teachers will not be watching the screen like they are now? If we choose hybrid and it is not a good fit for our child, are we able to switch to remote immediately? With specials, most importantly, will remote have direct instruction with PE teacher on the computer like they do now? I feel that it is necessary to keep the kids motivated and actually get them moving and not slacking. During the presentation, it was discussed how the day of hybrid students look like. How will the day of remote look like compared to how it does now? Neil Darren. We are hearing from several teachers that the surveys presented them did not present them choice. In an effort to be truly transparent, please read and share the written questionnaire presented to teachers. That was just read. The next comes from JB. With students in the classroom being on Google Meet a good amount of day, how are charging issues going to be addressed? Google Meet takes up a lot of battery power, and we are lucky to get 3 hours out of a charge, even though we charge our Chromebook every night. Alicia Ernst, can the building support all students and teachers on the Wi-Fi network at one time? Has a stress test been done on this? Charles Brown, how is a first grade setting so different from a kindergarten setting, given that the current first graders missed 1/3 of a school year? JB, will there be accommodations or considerations given to students who are part of IEPs and 504s in terms of switching teachers? Changing teachers this far into the school year would not be beneficial to my son, who is on a 504 and already very much acclimated to his current teacher. As parents as well, we have already formed a relationship built on trust with his teacher and would be very disappointed to be put into another classroom. IEP and 504 students like my son have certain accommodations built into their plans, like movement breaks. It is a lot to ask anyone to sit in the same seat for a full day, but these students especially may be affected. How will movement breaks be addressed in the classroom? I've asked before and I have not noticed this being addressed at all, but how are the teachers being supported with the hybrid plan? It seems like a teacher in the classroom will be expected to teach 2 groups at the same time, those virtually and those in the classroom. It seems like a lot to ask them to simultaneously teach 2 groups, and I would like to know what accommodations are being provided to them. The teachers have been amazing, and as a parent, I do not know if they are being supported in the way that they deserve. It would be nice to know what specifically is being done to meet their needs. Jay Siles, would it be possible to adjust the hybrid back-to-school sort selections to be a geographical rather than by last name? Having students from the same neighborhood go to school on the same days has a number of benefits. 1, students in the same neighborhood stand a greater chance of being exposed to each other outside of school, reducing some of the risk of bringing them into a shared environment. 2, students are more likely to know other students from their neighborhoods, decreasing their discomfort while attending class. And 3, geographical sorting will make it easier for parents who are coordinating travel to carpool. And Mr. Lewis has offered to take over for me, and I will accept that offer.
So the next one comes from, and I'm going to first admit if I pronounce someone's name, I fully apologize. The next one is from Rachel Reisler. I want to thank Dr. Glickman, the board, and staff for all their hard work. My students are in 3rd and 6th, and I have been impressed with the remote learning experience. You have my family's support as you adapt to this new reality we are in. This one is from Neil Darren. For remote learners, will the amount of teacher FaceTime with students be decreased? How will the school district support the teachers running remote classes? This one is from Amber L. What about the parents that have kids in different schools? Are they going to be on the same hybrid schedule to go into school? Susan Martin provides this. Historically, we have had issues with the contracted cleaning crew not thoroughly cleaning the classrooms, particularly at the younger grades. How are they going to ensure all cleaning measures will be followed? Also, are they going to be hiring more cleaning crew to be able to adequately meet the cleaning needs? This next one is from Neil Darren. For remote learners, will the it looks like it's a duplicate. Will the amount of teacher FaceTime with students be decreased? How will the school district support the teachers running remote classes? Nathan Schramm says, am I understanding correctly the expectation is for my first grader to bring their Chromebook to school and fully operated on their own during the day? What level of assistance will be available for first grade students? Kristen Kenny asks, can kids still walk to school? Anna Carceni, can you please clarify the benefit for the kids in using the headphones and Chromebooks on site instead of listening to the teacher teaching live? I understand it's easier for the teachers and that new technologies are hard to learn, yet if you're talking about the sound problems caused by the technology for the kids who choose remote learning, it doesn't make sense. Even if the kids are in their headphones in the classroom, it would cause the same noise problem because they are all in the same place. Anna Osis says there was not any clarification on how this hybrid model will change for our full remote students. Are they all going to be in full remote classes? Are they blended with hybrid classes? The presentation spent very little time talking to full remote families. Joanna Walk says, rather than by assigning students by their hybrid schedule by alphabet, have you considered assigning by neighborhoods or portions of neighborhoods? My thoughts behind this are, number one, neighborhood kids have likely already been in contact with each other, which means they already are in each other's bubbles. Two, being with neighborhood kids would help ensure students still at least will with some friends, others they know, where if assigned by the alphabet, there is no guarantee, which will help support social and emotional health. Three, assigning by neighborhoods might make it easier for parents to possibly coordinate carpools to and from school, which would help with the numbers on the bus, and also may help parents coordinate childcare for the days students aren't in school if they can work with the other families in their neighborhood. Jenny Rodigero, if students are going to be having lunch in school, is it guaranteed that students will be at least 6 feet apart without masks on? Amy Ori says, I appreciate the time you spent on this plan. I do, however, have a question about your thoughts on kindergarten. Are you saying that kindergarten teachers cannot be expected to teach both remotely and in person to their students? What's the difference between a kindergarten student and a first grade student that was only in school for a little over a half a year and have not been in school since March? We will be having the same problems as the kindergarten teachers. Expecting first graders to sit while I work with the kids that are remote doesn't seem realistic. They have not been in school for quite a while and are going to require as much attention as a kindergarten student. Shannon and Sarah says, it's been said teachers will be walking around to work with individual students. If we are keeping 6-foot distancing, this is really not possible. Just like we will not be able to sit together on the carpet or at a table in a small group. I feel like the breakout groups we are able to do now in a remote setting are more effective than the alternative will be. We can help and challenge small groups of students and really see them in true small groups now, but this will not be possible in the hybrid model. And as a staff member with family members with health issues, I want to do what is best for the students I love, to keep truly connecting with them as I currently, but do not want to put myself at risk, especially with the flu season on its way. Brian Hanley says, thanks to the teachers, thanks to the support staff. You're all adapting to unforeseen and challenging times with tenacity and doing a fantastic job in supporting our children and community. Well done, and please keep it up. Jeannie Duray, it's a jumbled comment. It says about November versus January and when January be less disruptive. Becky Wilson says, I feel like with this model, less instruction will be happening due to the transition and distractions between the in-class and remote students, since teachers will be having to manage both simultaneously. 7-year-olds have a hard time focusing on a screen all day, and I can't imagine if they are required to be sitting in a Google Meet in a classroom on a screen with other kids in the same room with them all day. I'm also very concerned about those families who are using the Safe Center and now won't have that for the 3 days a week. As a teacher and a parent in this district, I don't feel comfortable sending my own kids to school with this hybrid model. I think more time should be taken to plan and revisit in January. The next one is from Neil Darren. Will the metrics be tracked and used to shift back the hybrid model, and at what frequency? Jeannie DeRay has another one. Given the problems with holidays continuously creeping up on us, wouldn't it make more sense and potentially be less disruptive to begin this hybrid model in January? Halloween and Thanksgiving have great potential for disruptions due to exposures. Plus, it is also in the height of the flu season. These two things could create a very unpredictable and disrespectful, and disruptive environment for learning and stability for the kids. Carrie DeBoer, admin, please share the data and information that was sent to Dr. Glickman from the PSRP union. The board and community needs to get all the info. Helen Conway says, it sounds as though the only way you don't stay with your teacher is if that teacher requires a remote setting and you are choosing hybrid model. Is that correct? Summer Padoian, are there resources available through the school or county to assist families with the added expenses of childcare that may be necessary to the changes to the schedule? I ask because all of our families have already had to find their childcare plans around this current remote plan. These changes will affect these plans and therefore cause added expenses that normally would not have been incurred at all or at the same amount if my child was attending school or what I currently have set up. Colleen Baird says, will students with 504s and IEPs keep their same teachers? Sorry, I have to scroll. Tyler Funneman says, Superintendent Glickman and the entire D46 staff deserves a lot of credit for crafting a plan that is flexible, which allows those who want to remain remote to have that option and those who are comfortable in person. The main advantage of this plan is the fact that lays out in detail the metrics that the district can abide by and that will determine if we return to full remote. This was desperately needed and should be followed. Making predictions about the future is futile with these metrics, and we should not concern ourselves with what other states' issues are, since we have clear benchmarks in place. It's time we look ahead to getting back to in-person full-time, and this allows us to start that process while maintaining safety with the metrics laid out. This plan is solid and should be followed through with a yes vote by the board. This one's from Rebecca Dunham. As a teacher in the district for many years, I feel very nervous and uncomfortable now about choosing remote over hybrid. I selected remote because I have a family member with a medical condition whom lives with me. I'm afraid of being placed on short-term leave if there is not a place for me. My stomach is in knots thinking about it. I feel like I have to put my mother at risk so I don't have this happen, meaning switch to hybrid. I realize how much work has been put into the plan, but I'm wondering all of the connections and hard work with our students. If we could consider continuing the remote learning we have now, and if possible, expand the Safe Center capacity to better option for some families. This way, all of us, staff, student, parents, can continue the work we have been doing with our students without the stress that is coming with a hybrid model. The next one is from Meg Kripe. Will the students have to bring all books and school supplies with them on hybrid days? Students have a lot of supplies and books, so the concern is having to pack up every few days to bring everything back and forth. Jamie Robinson says, are there guidelines in place for students who may travel for vacation or to visit out-of-town state family on if they should quarantine before coming back on site? Jim Fry says, thank you in advance for answering this question. Anonymous says, is there a certain design on the masks that you can or can't have? Candace Postal says, will you regulate what type of masks children are allowed to wear, as there have been studies that bandana and neck gaiters are not effective? Barbara Pink says, I agree that a return to hybrid is the right step. I especially appreciate the focus on kindergarten, as they do have a unique need. I'm curious how we justify our slower approach to in-person when other private schools have successfully transitioned without incident. Do you fear that students and families that are underserved in this plan will opt for more private education? She continues, again, this is Barbara Pink. I want to echo a comment that was made. I am shocked that the first questions from the board was regarding work environments for the staff, followed by budgets. I have not heard many questions that focus on what is best for our kids or the community. I am also saddened to hear that no effort was put into looking at what schools that have resumed to in-person are doing right, and you have to continue to be siloed into what we want to do. I really urge the board to listen to the community. Visit a remote classroom and see how these kids struggle. If we can't figure it out, the community has many other options than have and continue to support the community. Meredith Kottmeyer says, "Thank you, Dr. Glickman and the entire team for your dedication on providing such a comprehensive plan for our students. My biggest concern is for the children who have IEP services. Will these services take place?" Sorry. I understand that they may be over Google Meet, however, they shouldn't be taking place in the general education classroom. My son's IEP lists pull-out minutes in both a remote and on-site classroom. Thank you. Yes, please.
Shannon and Sarah says, please remember that all teachers miss what in-person teaching is and want to be with our students. But please also remember that we want to be safe. In-person learning that has lots of student interaction and socialization is not maintaining safety. Schools cannot be responsible for all the socialization of the children. As a parent myself, I take it as my job to be sure that my child has safe socialization outside of the school day during this unprecedented time. Next one comes from Annie Schultz. Commenting on information I heard tonight, if the safest way to move about the school is one-way hallways and it isn't possible at Avon, how is it possible to return there while promising to keep the kids and staff as safe as possible? It sounded like kids in schools will have PE with a teacher, but under the hybrid plan, kids at home will not have a live teacher anymore. Is that the same for all specials? You mentioned teachers working one-on-one with kids in school. How will teachers do that safely while maintaining a 6-foot distance? Won't they still have to use the Google Meet to work closely with individuals or groups of students? While teachers are working with the students in person, it sounded like they will not be able to focus on the kids learning virtually equally, and that those kids will be given independent work instead. How is that equitable to both groups of students? Commenting on the big picture of the proposed hybrid plan, the teachers are not going to be able to provide the quality of education that they are delivering now if they are being asked to teach in person and virtually at the same time. It won't be possible. The percentage of parents that said that they would choose hybrid is not valid because they were asked to fill out the survey before they knew the district's hybrid plan. Did those people know that choosing this model could cause the safe centers to close in order to send their child to school for 2 days a week? It isn't just about people still being given the choice to keep their kids home, because teachers don't have that choice. And the learning environment and experience is still going to be impacted negatively if a family chooses to keep their child home. This plan sends kids back to school for 2 days a week to continue their Google Meet learning. When comparing that to the daily face-to-face unmasked learning they are getting right now from their teacher, what is the value added? Okay, next, this is a longer one. Jared Munch, I think it is. This looks long. Is this, I feel, yeah, that's where it starts. Okay. I feel that the scrapping of the initial plan for the full return to on-site learning was an absolutely terrible idea. The poll data indicated approximately 50% student capacity, which would have adequately reduced the density of people with a given environment. Unfortunately, a teachers' union was successful in their endeavor to sue the Florida State Board of Education in an effort to not return to on-site learning, and this set off a chain reaction across the nations. To put it bluntly, the teachers' unions have had far too much power, and the district is forced to capitulate to them. The initial outbreak in the spring was absolutely terrible. Ceasing on-site learning to that time was absolutely justified. But the science and data has continued to evolve. Treatments have vastly improved. There is even evidence to suggest that there is pre-existing cross-immunity through the T-cell system due to exposure to the common cold in a large portion of the population. This is that word I cannot pronounce, had amazing potential for the managing the effects of COVID-19. That's a, can you say that word? I can't say it. Can't pronounce it.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Thank you. Then President Donald J. Trump talked about its potential. Immediately, the media apparatus and the orange man bad mentality took over. Science and evidence was thrown out the window. Fraudulent studies were published. Anyone who dares to speak out on TV, social media, or elsewhere indicating that the fact that COVID-19 is nowhere near as bad as it is purported to be is instantly and brutally silenced. immediately bans from YouTube, Twitter, etc. The shutdown has lasted over 200 days, and the economic damage is devastating. A kid has a 6 times higher chance of dying in a car crash than from COVID-19. An average adult has about a 2 times higher chance of dying in a car crash. The effects on the children will impact them for the rest of their lives. Where do we draw the line? My son just started kindergarten, has an IEP and Asperger's syndrome. He has had no social exposure since March. He absolutely needs the structured classroom environment. My daughter just has no desire to participate. This is not fair to the children. We cannot keep living in fear of a virus that is less likely to kill you than something that is done without thought, like driving a car. I strongly believe that there should be an immediate return to full on-site learning, allowing for the option for remote learning for parents who've been fear-mongered by the media apparatus. Please take this into consideration. I do not want my child to suffer long-term developmental damage because of an artificially amplified fear of a virus that has been largely brought under control. Is this the last one? Am I jumping? Okay, Amy Larish? Yes? Okay. This jumps around a little bit. Okay. My name is Rael Swigert, so it must be coming through a different email. I have a kindergartner and an 8th grader in D46, as well as a junior in D127. I want to thank you for walking through your plan and the thoughtful consideration you put into it. When the district first asked this summer, my family's choice was in-person school. Like so many others, I was disappointed with the outcome, but I understood. In retrospect, we were all safer due to your difficult decision, and I'd like to think better prepared for moving to hybrid because of it. Many schools near and far are having some form of success with hybrid and in-person models. This, by the way, includes our own Park District for preschool, after-school programs, and local private schools. What about the safe centers? I haven't heard of any outbreaks there. Can we still justify that 100% virtual is the better plan? Please let the kids and parents have a choice going forward. As our kids and teachers have taught us, we can adapt and solve our problems just as we have all done through dangerous times in the recent past. When confronted with the terror of school shootings, we were scared to send the kids to school. The fear hasn't gone away, but what can we do about it? Kids have to go to school, so the schools created safety procedures. They locked doors. In the case of my kids' school, Meadowview, they installed even more locked doors. It changed school as we know it, but we did it anyway because it was a safe thing to do. And now the pandemic. There is fear of getting sick or even death. Step one was send all the kids home. It was the right call. We didn't know much about the disease. 7 months later, we are still scared, but what can we do about it? Earliest predictions for the vaccine are by the end of the year. 2021 is more likely for our children, though not guaranteed. Are we really considering staying remote for the next year or more? Or can we follow the safety guidelines and strategies the school had put together? Is it without any risk at all? No. Is it uncomfortable, inconvenient? Does it look abnormal? Yes. But we know more now than we did in March. We know that masks and social distancing are tools that work. We know surface transmission is less likely. We know the symptoms to watch for. The hybrid plan is not perfect. There are some real logistical problems to it. And others have questioned. Oh goodness, these. I'm sorry, before I go any further, I think, Mr. Woke, we need to close public comment because are you wanting that? Yeah, because they do keep coming in. So I'm going to make a statement now before I read the rest of this. We're closing public comment at this time. If there are more comments that people want to make after, should they just email the board? Yeah, because what's happening is they keep coming through. So, okay, now let's see where I was. Yeah, we had not. So now I've lost my place. So I apologize for the reading problems. Okay. Are the virtual kids going to be forced to watch pre-recorded lessons? Will the teachers be able to give them attention? And what about the teachers? They've been stretched so far already, and now we are making them teach in person and virtual simultaneously. But think of the alternative. These formative years are so crucial for our kids. For me personally, the alternative of staying virtual for half or all of pre-K and K, middle school and high school is too much for my kids. And so I'm willing to try. As impressed as I am with our amazing teachers, let's get real about the downside to virtual learning. When we read, all I ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten, absent from the list was virtual ABCs, movement breaks, and mute buttons. Remember thinking nothing could be as hard as the awkward middle school years? Yeah, well, how about cameras on ceilings during classes and video games during lunch? Worse than drama and awkwardness of middle school is the numbness of virtual middle school. Some say high school is the best time of your life, until it's just an email inbox full of assignments, marching band from the bedroom, no, I can't read that word, no, oh my goodness, no cheer blocks, is that what it says? No proms, no graduation, no entrance to the school unless it's for the PSAT or SAT. Imagine your own life without those formative experiences. The hybrid plan, for all of its faults, is still a step. If we don't take the step, how and when can we move forward? Let the teachers take the lead on best practices. They will adapt and solve problems like they have been doing all along. Paul, can you get to the last couple? Because I can't get there. Oh, I got it. It's from an anonymous, and it says, we get the teachers' concerns and they have a right to that. Yet we have seen many teachers in the community out at bars, restaurants, and other indoor community events. Do they not fear those places, yet fear being in school with better safety protocols in place? And that's the last one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is where we normally would go with the board reports, superintendent report, and the committee reports. I would like to make a motion that we table those reports for today in the interest of moving the meeting along. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay.
Braden. Aye. Nash.
Aye.
LaCroy.
Aye.
Strack.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mack.
Aye.
Weedman.
Aye. Okay, the next is a pretty straightforward one. Is I need approval to, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Braden.
Aye.
Nash.
Aye.
LaCroy.
Aye.
Strack.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mack.
Aye.
Weedman.
Aye. Okay, next is on the action items. I would like to make a motion to table the motion to approve a strategic plan facilitator to the next meeting.
So
Second.
moved.
I'll second.
Weedman.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mack.
Aye.
Nash.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
LaCroy.
Aye.
Strack.
Aye.
Okay. The next is a motion to approve the hybrid learning plan. I will make that motion.
I'll
Second.
Do we have any other further discussion that we would like to discuss, or shall we go to a vote?
I just want to say that I would rather table. I'm not at an aye. I'm a not yet, not a no. But if we need to vote tonight, then that's fine.
Okay, we have a motion to table this to the next meeting. Does anybody else agree to second that, and we can have a vote on that?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. So the motion is to table is to table the approval of the hybrid learning plan.
Mr.
I
Mr.
clarify?
Weedman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Thank you. In tabling the plan, is the board thereby also, I guess, I don't know if it's approving or planning for a pushback of the start of a hybrid plan? If it's voted yes, because if we're pushing it back, we have to halt our planning and we will need more time.
Lynn, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding you. Are you saying that if we vote yes to table the motion, that will then alter the schedule, so we won't be able to implement it at the same time? I just can't hear you.
Yes, you
Okay.
just said it a lot more clearly than I did. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
It sounded like. "Meow, meow, meow, meow."
Okay, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay,
Yeah, I understand that. And I guess the clarification that I would have is I would be willing to have special meetings and keep working on this, you know, as much as we need to get to the place we feel like we need to be. Knowing that we might not be able to start on November 2nd, but with the idea that we want to move forward with a plan.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so I guess I have a quick question regarding that, Christie. Is it an uncomfortability with the start date? Or is it an uncomfortability with the plan as a whole? Just so that,
That's a great question. I think it's mostly, I think we're very close with the plan. I think I would like time to feel better about the safe centers. I want a higher percentage personally. And I would like to ensure, I think we owe the teachers a conversation about quality of instruction. I think they've expressed some professional concerns, even beyond their safety, just about how does this actually help children? And I think we owe it to them to have that further conversation. And if that takes a little time, then to me, I'd rather do it right than do it quick. Does that help, Jim?
yeah, I guess, so my question was gonna be, do we separate the start time out from the plan time, or from the plan itself? If that was gonna be the issue, was the start time, we could always, my thought was that if we approve the plan, and as Christy and I had talked about earlier, she had some reservations about some other things as well, that maybe there is the ability to say, we approve the plan, but we need to still work to improve the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that way it gives us an opportunity to move forward into the time frame that we're looking at, beginning of November or mid-November, or whatever start dates were done. Because the safe centers is an issue, and I
Yeah.
think across the board, most of us agree that we would like to see that resolved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can, I have a hard time holding up the whole plan on the safe centers only for the simple fact, because it may be something we can't solve without staying completely remote. And as we heard many people talk and put comments in, that if we don't start putting the kids back into school, there's going to be far more other issues that go along with it. So that's kind of, I would feel comfortable with, okay, we need to address these issues, which we've talked about, but we can still move forward with trying to get all that done before we go into the hybrid model.
Sorry. I'm doing this button.
can I jump in real quickly while you're
Yeah,
thinking,
please
Christy?
do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had a great conversation today, and I do think that this, I want the district to move forward. And I am not comfortable voting right now either. I'm happy to do a special meeting, but I definitely want to move forward. I definitely want to, again, express my appreciation for the thoroughness of this plan. However, I would not be able to vote yes until those modifications and the categories for them were specifically articulated tonight, and it's 10 o'clock. So I am in full support of not waiting maybe 2 weeks, and I recognize that we have meeting fatigue. And I think it's important that we identify the modifications before we move forward.
Yeah, I guess, I fast forward and put myself in a position of voting yes tonight, not being able to do the safe centers, and that's personally not okay with me. I guess that's where I am. I need a higher percentage before I say yes. Because that was a commitment I made at the beginning of the year, and I feel very strongly about it. And not to undercut all the efforts that I know you have made and that we will make. But to me, we cannot leave 60 kids behind. So that's where I am. And so I guess I'm kind of aligned with Christy Miller in that, you know, if we had to vote tonight, I would have to be a no.
And Jim, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear about that earlier today. I don't mean to blindside you with that at all. Okay.
No, I mean, you know, Christy got to it first, but during our conversation earlier, I had proposed possibly tabling it tonight as well, because I think tabling it allows the board to take a more thoughtful approach than doing the highly emotional and official approach of a yes/no vote. And a lot of questions were raised tonight, and a lot of good comments were raised tonight. I mean, I'm personally in support of moving forward with the plan, right? Because I think it's the right thing to do for a large portion of our community that has expressed a desire for that choice that they did not get 2 months ago when we went all remote. However, a yes/no vote is a very final way. And, you know, Dr. Glickman, made a comment earlier about, you know, how do we move forward if it's a no vote, whereas a tabling of the motion, a tabling of the plan will allow us to more thoughtfully address those comments which the public asked us to do. And I don't know that necessarily will push the start dates out much further, maybe a week, maybe 2, because I think I know we have meeting fatigue, but I think we're all in, and we have been all in since March, and I don't think any of us slow down. And I think it would make it, you know, if we voted, I would be in support, but it would certainly make my vote more supportive if we had a chance to go through all of those items.
And I just guess I'd make it clear that I want kids back in school.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an attempt to derail that at all. There is no reason to sacrifice quality for speed, and that's where I am.
I'm on the same boat. My kid is having a horrible time with remote learning at the high school level. It's a complete crap show. So and I cleaned that up. So I understand what you're saying, and I agree. You know, giving us a little more time to reflect and have a special meeting, hopefully early next week,
But that's
or
just,
depending on what time frame you're going to need to kind of try and look to address those issues. Would it be better towards the end of next week?
I think I need some direction as to what the questions are that we're answering. What's come out loud and clear is the board would like to know if we can come up with a plan for the students who are currently in the SAFE Center. So that one I understand. I'm unclear as to what other questions board members would like to have answered.
Okay.
We
can I-
also haven't heard from Tamika or Jason or Steven. I'm wondering if they have anything.
No, I was getting there.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, since they're up on the phone, up in the sky on the phone, that.
Yeah, Tamika's here, Jim.
Go ahead, Tamika. I keep looking up there. She's up there.
So I haven't heard anything in the plan that would be materially different from where we are currently in terms of the children being remote, whether it be in the classroom or whether it's remote at home. And I guess I've heard the comments, and I'm just trying to measure the risk return going into cold flu season, going into high congregation periods with Halloween, and knowing while the CDC doesn't recommend it, we'll have many trick-or-treaters and folks traveling for Thanksgiving. I guess from a materiality standpoint for me, you know, I would be looking to at least consider pushing the date back until after winter break. Is that feasible? And then when we start talking about the hybrid model, can we address that with our most critical demographics first, and then look to phase in other kids so we have a more controlled sample and understanding of impact and can make informed decisions, going forward. I'm concerned about our teachers recognizing that the overwhelming majority of them do not feel comfortable returning. I'm concerned about the need for teacher reassignments a quarter of the way through the year. So if we're, I do think it's worth taking some time to process and digest all the concerns raised. I would really be looking for insights into modifying the date and then looking to see if we can prioritize our most at-risk demographics to phase them in first and maintain safe centers before going forward.
Well, yes, I mean, I'm not seeing a question in there exactly, or more data to collect. What I'm hearing.
So I guess my question would be then, Lynn, is it possible to relook at the date of launching the hybrid model? So that's the first question. Can we revisit that? And then two, is it possible to reprioritize the groups that are going back first? Like, so right now we had 3 weeks carved out. I guess what I would be asking is, would it be possible to pivot to make sure we address our most critical demographic first, which is what I hear of being K2, IEP, and 504 students?
Okay, now I understand. So certainly, we can push the plan back to wherever the board wants us to push the plan back to, without question. And that can absolutely include a revised timeline in terms of who we're bringing in first. Under our current plan, we were bringing in our students in our highest needs specialized special education program and our early childhood students, many of whom have IEPs, and our kindergartners. So, that piece we had already taken care of. Potentially a different model would be doing something like that 1 week, and then first and second graders the second week, which is actually what we did. So in our current model, it's that first group the first week, and the second week it's grades 1, 2, 4. I lost track of it, but it's 1, 2, and then some other grades as well. So I believe we've done that. I think the only other piece when you talk about highest needs is there sometimes is a recommendation to bring in bilingual classes first. So that is also something that we can look at, and that's not something that we had done. And certainly, if it's the board's wish, we can push this back to December. We can push it back to after winter break. That's up to what you're looking for.
My only fear was if we keep continuing to look at pushing back, we might as well just sit here today and say, we're not coming back this year at all. Because we can find an excuse not to come back at any point in the year. The high flu rate, winter break, Thanksgiving, spring break. We keep pushing it back for each and every one of those reasons. At some point, we need to work on trying to get the students back into a classroom setting that works for everybody. Because we keep pushing the dates back, and then we've done nothing but push dates back, and kids are not in school where they need to be with their teacher. That's my concern.
I do agree with that to a certain extent. I want to make sure that tabling the plan is not going to provide for an unlimited pushing back of the plan. So I think what we need to do as a board, I have 6 pages of notes. I can't possibly articulate all of my existing questions or new questions to you tonight, Dr. Glickman, because we could go on for another 3
Sure,
hours.
sure.
Right? And so I'm wondering if it would be helpful, because we've all talked to each other, and we've all talked to administrators and people in the community separately, if we would collect some of our questions and provide those to you in a document that would be guiding our next steps if we do decide to table.
I guess Jason and Stephen, are you okay with providing your questions and concerns to administration without any further discussion of what we have going?
Yeah, Jim, so I am in favor of tabling the vote, and I'm not necessarily in favor of delaying the timeline. Some of the questions and concerns that I had were somewhat adequately addressed. I like the flexibility of the additional parent questionnaire where you can indicate that if my choice indicates that there will be a change in teacher, that I have that flexibility to amend my choice, knowing that's not a guarantee.
Jason?
I like this.
Sorry, Jason, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you're coming in very garbled and broken up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Very hard to hear you. That's why I was wondering if it would be easier if we send an email to Dr. Glickman within the next day articulating our concerns.
I'm in favor of that. I'm in favor of tabling the vote, and I do want to make sure that we have a very targeted and, like Stephen said, not unlimited scope of changes we're looking to make.
Okay. Stephen Strack, are you okay with emailing Dr. Glickman your concerns?
That's fine.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the floor for tabling the vote on going to the hybrid plan.
LaCroy,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Strack,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Weedman,
Aye.
Nash.
Aye.
Okay, so I asked that everybody send their concerns off to the administration, off to Dr. Glickman within the next day. That would be helpful so that we can, if we need to schedule a special meeting in the next week, provided she's able to address the issues that are brought up, because it may take a little bit longer. So please do that as soon as you possibly can. Thank you. All right, next should be a real quick thing, is a motion to approve the COVID-19 quarantine and sick bank 2021 memorandum of understanding with the unions.
So moved.
Second.
Strack,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
LaCroy,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Nash,
Aye.
Weedman.
Aye. Unfinished business, we didn't have anything. New business, I would like to make a motion to table all new business as we cancel the policy meeting anyways until a further date.
So moved.
Second.
LaCroy,
Aye.
Nash,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Strack,
Aye.
Weedman,
Aye.
and Braden.
Aye.
Topics for future agenda? I think we have it. Okay. It just said, it says topic for future agenda. I think we have the future agenda already.
There are a few other things.
Okay.
So everything that was on this agenda that we didn't get to is obviously for next time, as well as a public hearing for an e-learning plan. Paul, can that be pushed off, or is there a timing issue related to that? We've already published it, haven't we?
No, we have not published it because we weren't sure of the time and the date for sure. And there's not a deadline to do it. We just can't use any e-learning days for snow days until we have the plan approved.
Yeah, I would say we put it off a little bit longer. We've got enough going on. Okay. Sounds good. That's it.
Okay. There's nobody in the audience for public comments. So next would be, we don't need a closed session tonight, so next I need a motion to adjourn.
So
So,
moved.
second.
LaCroy,
Aye.
Nash,
Aye. Was that me?
no, Nash,
I'm sorry, Ty.
Miller,
Poor Tamika.
Miller,
Christie?
Miller.
Aye.
Mac,
I do that way too often. I'm still an aye.
Strack.
Aye.
Weedman,
Aye.
and Braden.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, for your long night.
Thank you. Good night.